Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming today. So we have a really special talk today. Rel is, or Ariel is a professional Fortnite player who is happily giving us a talk and answering some questions for us. Rel is 20 years old. He is from Sydney, Australia, and he is signed currently with Agent Gaming. He is attending school, majoring in digital cultures and psychology. Rel has many notable accomplishments in his gaming career. Most recently, as of 2 weeks ago, he actually placed fifth place in the Fortnite Championship Series in the OCE regions for trios. He is also partnered with Twitch with over 60,000 followers. So, hey, Rel, thank you so much for joining us today. Usually at this point, everyone would unmute and give a virtual round of applause, but I know the students really appreciate your insight and time, as do I. So I guess we'll just start things off. To start things off, could you tell us a bit about what it's like to be a pro Fortnite player? More specifically, what kind of schedule goes into that, and like, what does it even mean to like practice being a Fortnite player?
So for Fortnite, we have scrims are the main form of practice, I'd say. And scrims are basically just like a scrimmage where you versus the other good players of the region. So at around 5 p.m., we have like a scheduled practice time, and that'll normally go for like 3 hours, which is like 6 games of practice. And that'll be every single day apart from the weekend. And there's also things outside of scrims, but that's like optional. It's kind of like looking into your own gameplay, improving, and it's a real self growth mindset. So you kind of have to be like pretty ambitious to make yourself better, especially when you're becoming a pro. I think a lot of the things that make you better than everyone else is like the stuff you do outside of scrims and the norm to like get you that one step further. So yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do to practice, but mainly 5 to 8 is like a pretty set schedule. And yeah, you're just playing the game, learning, thinking about it. It's good fun.
Wow, that sounds intense. I've seen you play in those scrims, and they are
Yeah.
intense. So your Twitch channel is quite big. It has around 60,000 followers. You have 25,000 followers on Twitter. What's it like managing such big channels?
For me, I just have to remember that there's a bit of an influence, even if it's, not a crazy like influencer level. I do have to keep that in mind when I stream. And then also, I think for things like Twitch, which are really community based, you just need to make sure you're consistent and you get to talk to them, because with Twitch, it's really like you're there or you're not. Like if you're not streaming on Twitch, then you're just like kind of forgotten. So I think consistency is really important, and I think really engaging with your chat and getting to know these people. Yeah, it's really fun when you like commit to it. So yeah, I love the both platforms.
So what is it? What do you mean by like commit to and like getting to know your chat?
Sorry, one sec.
You're okay.
So with committing and getting to know my chat, it's like uh some people stream the game and they are just showing their like content, as in when you stream the game, you're showing your gameplay, and then there'll be like a chat on the side, you're reading the chat. And a style that most pros will do is they'll just play the game and they'll just focus on the game, and then the chat is kind of like they're talking to themselves. Whereas I think a more like it's coming more and more popular is just like engaging with the chat, reading all the messages, answering. It's kind of like I saw a really good analogy a while ago, which was the reason why Twitch streaming is such like an interesting phenomenon in pro gaming is like imagine being able to watch like LeBron James practice basketball, and then you can ask him like, "Oh, why do you do that?" And then he answers. So if you're like a huge fan of this, like Fortnite, for example, and you get to watch one of these pros play, ask them questions, like engage with them on a personal level or on a professional level, it's like it's really really interesting. And I know even personally, being a fan of another esport, League of Legends, being able to talk to these people, like it's very new, and it's also very very I think it's very good. It's very fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I wish I could ask LeBron James some
Yeah,
questions while he was
that's an
playing.
extreme example, but yeah, yeah.
And I'd pay some good money for those tickets. So I've had a chance to check out your stream, and I think just for the audience's reference, you draw anywhere from like 300 to like over 1,000 viewers per stream. That chat is moving fast, right? what is it like playing first in front of such a big audience, and what are some of the challenges that you face managing like a live stream that is that big?
I think nerves were the big one. So a year ago, I would stream, and I remember I would never stream scrims and I would never stream tournaments because I would always get nervous with that subconscious thought of like, I would imagine that like there's 300 people behind me watching me play, and back then I wasn't comfortable with that. But I think over time I've become more comfortable as a person in general, and then that's translated to Fortnite where yeah, I can play in front of people and not feeling nerves, and I'm confident in my gameplay. I think with reading chat, it's sometimes I'll miss messages and I feel bad for that, but normally I'll see like the important ones because they'll kind of stand out a bit. Uh, I love playing with an audience that big. It's really, really fun. I feel like now instead of pressure, I feel just the support. So, when people are going that quick and all that, it kind of hypes me up and it makes me play better. So yeah, I really like it.
I mean, that sounds pretty exhilarating, to be honest.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I don't know, just having that quiet support, like I don't know, being in a stadium full of your fans, right?
Yeah. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah. So, for a lot of students here, if you guys haven't checked out a Twitch like stream before, they actually have a full team of moderators that help manage the chat. So could you tell us a bit about how that works and like how you found your group of moderators that help manage your chat?
Well, that's like an interesting thing because streamer starts with 300 viewers. So when you're growing and you're building viewer by viewer kind of thing with your community, that's when you find these people who are there consistently and you recognize their names and they become kind of like they stand out. It's like a person who's always there, always asking questions, always like engaging. And then when you go to moderating, you need someone like that so they're there all the time. And then you want someone positive, you want someone who's fair. And then when you kind of find one mod, it's really easy to find the rest because you kind of work together with your mods. Like I have a mod chat and then we'll talk about like, if we want a new mod, like, oh, do we like this person? Oh, I've seen them say this before. It's kind of dodgy. Oh, they're here every day though. So like, you kind of like, it's like you work as a team and, you make sure everyone's comfortable and we don't rush into anything. It's kind of like a friend relationship and they want the chat to be good. I want the chat to be good. And so together we'll make sure that the people who are like, trolls or like being weird, like they calm down. So it's good. I love my mods. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I've checked out a couple of his streams. His mod team is awesome. They're really friendly. And that's not the same throughout Twitch either. There's some chats where that is just not the case. So another thing, gathering such a large following isn't easy, right? And I know for a lot of people, that's a big challenge, right? And there's a huge industry behind that. So how did you grow your following and brand? Like, is there any insights that you have on that?
I think being a pro is like a shortcut. So if you're a content creator through and through, it's harder for these people because they don't have another form of audience coming in. So I think normally the way people grow their Twitch channels is they'll have something on the side like a YouTube or a big Twitch, big Twitter. And then from that audience, they build up their Twitch audience. Whereas for me, it was similar, but it was like my pro community. So placing in tournaments, like getting known in the pro scene. And then when I started playing with Mr. Fresh Asian during World Cup, he's like a big YouTuber. So then like kind of his audience would come in. And I think like over time, like I'll give you an example, even recently. So I stopped streaming for a year and I came back this year. And at the start of me streaming, I had like 150 viewers average. And then the next month I had 300 viewers average and then 400 and then 5. So it's really like consistency builds the community. The people who like the stream will stay and come by more. So, to grow, I think consistency is the number one thing. Giving people a reason to stay, making sure you're actually entertaining or you're educational or, whatever you're trying to be. There's a lot of things that go into it. I just think that the first spike is the hardest because you need another source of audience to get you started on Twitch.
Yeah, and I know that's a big challenge for a lot of people to find that spike. So you're also signed to an esports team, and I know you've been signed to a couple of esports teams. So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about that and how does one even go about signing to a professional esports team?
Yeah, so it used to be pretty intimidating when I first signed back in the day But now it's pretty straightforward. People will come to you with an offer. Normally, the terms that you're arguing on or debating, like you're going back and forth on, are like how much they're going to pay you per month, how much of a prize pool split you're giving them. So, say you win $20,000, are you giving them nothing, or are you giving them like $10,000? So you're gonna negotiate that. And then the last things are like they'll help you make videos, they'll pay for your editors, they'll support your like, if there's an event, they'll pay your tickets, get your hotel. So they really like they give you like a structure outside of the game. And the idea is like you play the game, we'll get sponsors and deals off, how good you're doing and the audience that you bring. And in return, they'll pay me like either some in OS it's normally like a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 a month, like for the bigger players. So yeah, they'll pay me like that much a month, and then in return, I don't give them any prize pool because in Fortnite particularly, there's a big prize pool. It's like where you make the money, which is not the same in other games. But yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I think back in the day, it was really dodgy with a lot of people out there with malicious intent. But I think over time, the dodgy people have kind of gone away. And especially in America, there's some really well-established orgs, and you'll see them, the way they make money is sponsors. And then the way you make money is they'll pay you a direct salary. So yeah.
That's really interesting stuff. And I'm sure some students will have some ideas here on how to kind of, manage that and manage esports teams. So, the esports industry, it's boomed over a lifetime. Like even 5 years ago, I never imagined thousands of people watching other people play video games professionally. I thought it was just like a niche on YouTube, but the industry is still changing. So what do you hope to see develop in the esports industry over the next 10 years or so?
I think the main developments I want to see is mainstream media kind of taking it more serious, because I think there was back when there were LAN events. Unfortunately, COVID kind of ended that for this year. I remember seeing the LAN events being mocked by a lot of people, which it kind of sucks because having a big it was a $30 million World Cup. The winner gets $3 million US. Like it's crazy. Like people from all around the world coming in. It's to me, it's something that should be like celebrated and like hyped up. It's like, wow, like this stuff is growing. The youth really love it. Like, these people are becoming like celebrities from winning. But instead, the mainstream media, like the news outlets and stuff, I really didn't like how they were mocking it all. And like, I understand because what's foreign is always going to be like weird, and you naturally want to push that away. But I do really think that I think like if the mainstream media would get on board, which I know it is more and more, I really think that esports would grow quicker, and I think people would see the values in it. Because honestly, basketball is entertaining, but when you look at things like baseball, like would you rather watch someone play baseball or like a really hype game where like it's really quick and like if you understand what's going on, it's way more hype. I think being a fan of sports when I was younger and now esports when I'm older, like in my personal opinion, I'm following these teams. I'm really hyped about this player or whatever. It's the same kind of passion for the team. It's just the game is way more exciting for me. So I really do think it will grow more and more. I think when LANs come back, it'll, have some big LANs. I know there's some in Iceland coming up soon. Yeah, I think it's a matter of time before it kind of like takes over a lot of these mainstream sports. I think, obviously it's not going to go crazy, but in China, for example, it's like as big as the NBA. League of Legends is as big as NBA. They have like 9 stadiums. Like, I don't know if you guys want to research that. That is crazy how much money there is there. So yeah, it's already doing it in Asia a lot. I know Korea and China, but I think the West has like a while to go with that. So yeah, it's happening though. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, that's why we're kind of hosting this event for the first time, just to teach students about like how exciting this industry can really be. And I don't know, I definitely agree with that. The mainstream media like not taking it seriously, but like now you're seeing people like Juju and Logic on Twitch and streaming video games. So who knows what the next 10 years holds. With that question, like, what are the problems that you see in the esports industry today? Like, and if you could change something today about the industry, what would it be?
About the esports, like specifically, I think sometimes there's a lack of structure and it's not as formalized in a lot of countries. So if you think about how like, basketball is, it's like a structure to it. and the good players will get a chance. Whereas here, I see a lot of it's like a lot of improvisation with the structure. So I think things like tournament organizers and like the road ahead needs to be a lot more clear for these players, because if you're trying to build a career on being an esports pro, but you don't know what's happening in 2 months, 3 months, like you can't plan around that, which I think is really like unfortunate. And I know that is better in other games and in other regions, but I do think like that'll slowly trickle down to us.
Mhm.
And I think in the gaming scene in general, I think because it's online, I think toxicity and like, there's some, strange people out there online. So I think that's another scary thing. But I do think that in esports, that's actually kind of stayed away from. Like, it doesn't happen too much, which is good. And similarly to in professional sports, if it does happen, it's called out, it's stopped. And I really, really think that's good. But yeah, structure is a big one.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who casually watches Fortnite, I definitely, you never know when the tournaments are going to be, right? And that's definitely a big problem. So the next question is like, starting out, I think you were talking about this a little bit. It was, it starts small, right? So what kind of things do you wish you had when you were starting out to really get you going that you didn't have?
I think a nice setup was what I wanted back then. But in all honesty, I wanted, there was a lot of malicious orgs out back in the day where they were trying to get these players, take all their money and like word contracts weirdly, and these kids don't know what they're signing. So I really wish I had help with that. Because, that was really intimidating. Luckily, I had parents that are kind of knowledgeable in that. So I just asked them and they would help me a lot, but I know that other players didn't. And then I think information just in general is like, it needs to be spread about, if you are trying to go pro in this, you can't like drop everything else as much as you would want to. Similar to how like, I think having examples of people going pro is really important so that you can see, for example, for me, I could see, oh, I can go to school and I can still try to go pro. And like, I see all these players doing it and, it's working for them. Like, I don't need to drop out like these few cases did. So I think like keeping yourself in check is important, because when you start making some money, it's really easy to think, screw it, I'm dropping out of school. My future, who cares? I'm doing this. So I think I wish I had more role models almost, because it's such a new scene. But now I think it's a lot better. And I think for me, I'm comfortable like, sharing time at uni and doing this, because I kind of know how it works now. Whereas back then I didn't.
I definitely feel that it's easy, in an unstructured, it's like the wild, wild west out there. Sometimes yeah, exactly. It feels like
it's every man for themselves. So it's like, I'm going to do everything I can to go pro. It's like some of these kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting insight. And I don't know, hopefully some students come up with some ideas to work on that as well. So the final question is like, I know you just started university and now you're a full-time student and you're managing your professional career along with going to school. How the hell do you balance that?
I think time management. So I think it's similar to being at school. If you like do all your work, like when you get it, or you're doing work every day, it doesn't seem that crazy. Whereas I know when I was in high school and last year of high school, I would always do things last minute, and you just cannot do that when you're doing what I'm doing. So I think time management is really huge, and I think planning ahead is really huge. And I think a lot of skills that I've learned becoming a pro have been like translated to school. So like, doing the extra step to have self-growth, which will help me down the line, I think is really, really huge. And honestly, going pro, once you are pro, it's kind of keeping on top. So it's not too time consuming. I spend 3 to 4 hours. Like it's similar to having like a part-time job, except it's way more fun. And it's also my hobby. So I'm really happy with it. I took 2 gap years, so I'm like ready to learn. And I think that's like a huge thing, is I'm excited to learn. So it's not as like, I'm not dreading it as much. But yeah, I think balancing it, I'm still struggling, but I think especially during first year, I'm okay. Yeah.
Well, I wish my hobby was as fun as that, and I got to do it like you do. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Raul. I really appreciate it a ton. Everyone in chat should go check out one of his streams sometimes. They're a ton of fun to watch. You can find his streams at twitch.tv/rel_FN. We're going to drop the link in chat and spam you guys with it. Go follow him on Twitter. Go follow him on Twitch. Like, he's awesome. His community is awesome. And thank you again for talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much.